What was the score, 27?
39-12.
For life.
It's 7 o'clock.
It's
All right, let me close my binder and I'll smack the gavel. As soon as Tony Mo gets ready. All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you.
God bless Israel.
Would you please take roll?
Councilman Madsen?
Here.
Councilman Montoya?
Here.
Councilman Kaufman?
Here.
Councilman Allison?
Here.
Mayor Graves?
Here. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Moving on to the consent agenda. For the purpose of discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve and place to record the consent agenda items.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items.
Is there discussion on consent agenda items?
Candy, cross-referencing the spike in overtime back with your miscellaneous notes, is that all the golf park apartments issue?
The underground behind Golf Park, that's our second underground outage out there. Last one was in November.
Look like the vouchers were pretty straightforward. No surprises there.
In regards to the street department budget, 2 months into the budget, I see we're 35% expended. Is there
Those are our street projects.
something unforeseen?
There will be no money left for street projects next spring. So they spent their money this summer.
Yeah, can't please everybody not paving their street.
You got yours then, didn't you?
A few years ago, before I came on board. Duly noted.
They didn't give me that courtesy. They did mine while I was on board.
You've been on board for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask a silly question. What's with the backhoe door?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
An employee accidentally backed out of the shop when the door was open, and it didn't knock it all the way off, but it had to replace it.
It wilded the hinges.
And the backhoe's just old enough where it wasn't able to be repaired. We replaced the door.
That went his safety award for the month.
Yep.
Sorry, I forgot that one.
Okay.
Any replacements for the two, Doug?
I made one offer today, so that looks promising. The second offer I made when I gave out the starting wage that I could do, I even raised it up a little bit. Said he'd have to talk to his wife and do some considering. Just didn't know if it'd work out at this time. So one for sure, we just got to finish the background. And Officer Bowler turned in his resignation today. He's taking employment with the state. He'll be done at the end of the month.
When he talks bullshit.
There isn't anybody here from Parks and Rec, is there? I don't think so. Okay.
All right, is there any further discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are to the section of petitions, memorials, proclamations, and public comment. And at this time, I would like to recognize Mr. Mike Lambert, a employee of the town of Wheatland for 45 years. 45 years of service.
Come on, Mike.
No small feat. That's almost as long as I've been alive. I've only been around just about that much longer than you've been working here. So we thank you for your service. And there's a card with some appreciation in it and a coat with some bling on it for you. So thank you very much, Mike, for 45 years of dedicated service.
Thanks, Mike, and you're not retiring yet, so everybody keeps asking, so is he retiring?
Mike, come make the rounds. These guys would like to shake your hand as well. It's not often you get to celebrate that kind of an event.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Just as a side note, I asked Mike,
Stand up there 1 second, Mike.
he was on the crew, they used to lift up 55-gallon garbage barrels
Dump them into the trucks.
and dump them into the trucks. So he's seen it all.
Now you can stay warm with your coat.
Don't let Fred steal it.
Like who?
His bread.
Oh.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Item number 2 would be, you have in front of you from Platte County School District number 1, a request to waive permit fees for a greenhouse at the middle school. Is there anybody here to speak for that? Just, I guess what you have is a copy of the application of the building permit and what the fees would be, and they are requesting that it says waive, maybe we work with them, traditionally we've done some.
In the, Mayor, in the past, we waived on the second page there, behind the permit, the building inspector put together history on waiving fees. So it looks like on any school projects, we've waived 50%.
How many times they gonna have a greenhouse back there?
But then you destroyed the other one.
Welcome to Wheatland.
I think they're making it a permanent one, Willie.
Oh,
If you read it, I think it's gonna be on a foundation slab and then stick built, it looks like.
Yeah, it's an engineered frame this time instead of just a tubular plastic covered.
hope for the best.
Well, I'll make a motion that we waive 50% for the fees, just to stay consistent with the fees that we've waived for the schools.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. And this is traditionally when Tracy gives us an update, if she would like.
Sure. Good evening. I'm gonna do my stuff here. I wanted to make sure that you all know you're invited to our PCED annual dinner. That'll be next week on the 17th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Jim Mathis will be our guest speaker that night, and so we'll have dinner and conversation. I think it'll be a good time. So if you are interested, please let me know. RSVP. You could probably RSVP directly to me or through Candy, and then your spouses or significant others will also invited. So hope that you come. We'd love to share that evening with you. In the economic wellness report, didn't seem like there was a whole lot of movement from last month to this month. I'd say the main thing was housing. It seemed like there were more houses back on the market as compared to last month. So that was kind of a big jump from 11 last month to 33 this month. And then the enrollment at the school is up a little bit, so that's always good to see. And then the other thing that I sent, and I don't know if this is helpful to you or if it's just helpful to me, but it was the sales and tax collection explanation. I had been asked by a couple people on your wellness report at the bottom that Christy gives us, it shows reports, what was collected through sales tax, through the local option, through the specific purpose, and then through the lodging. And so I had people ask me, like, okay, well, so it's 4% sales tax in Wyoming, but why is that the lowest number? What percentage do we get as a county? And so I asked Christy those questions, and the state retains 69% of that 4%. So we get the remaining 31%. And then that's distributed to counties and cities and towns based on population. And then the local option tax and the specific purpose tax, those are both 1%, but again, on her report, those numbers are always different. So I had people ask me that too. So with that, the way she explained it is that the local option tax is only the county's portion of the tax. The state of Wyoming sends the municipalities their portion of that 1% directly. So that's why that number looks lower. And then the entire amount collected for the specific purpose option tax is sent, the optional tax, is sent to the county treasurer's office and then distributed to the entities from there. So that's why that specific purpose number reflects a little bit higher every month. So I don't know if this is helpful to you, but it was certainly helpful to me in seeing how those taxes are distributed, especially with this 6 penny continuation, information trying to be accurate for people when they ask these questions. Do you guys have any questions of me or anything that you need or? Okay. Awesome. Well,
No, it's always great information.
Well, thank you. All right, thank you. You know how to get hold of me.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
All right, is there any other public comment at this time? Yes.
Thanks, Gary.
Podium and state your name.
My name's Jeremy Lang. Thank you guys for just giving me the time to talk. As you know, there's been quite some issues going on with the purchase of lock trucking. Got a couple issues that I wanted to address. In the public notice written by the planner, it says, if you have any questions or comments, no need to collaborate. May please share those with the planning and email. Well, when you look at the definition of that, it says specifically in form of weeping and sympathy, mingled in tears accompanied by weeping. My issue is, why is that getting posted in a public notice? And I'm offended by it, because what that tells me is I'm not able to come state my feelings on something that's happening in the town of Wheatland. And I'm a resident of the town of Wheatland, own 2 homes in the Wheatland, in the town of Wheatland, and a business. So I asked the definition at the planning and zoning. His term of it, he wasn't able to provide that for me, but he says he just puts words in there to make it, I don't know his terminology, but that's the definition of it, is to gather and weep. So I'm offended, and I don't think that somebody within the town of Wheatland should be posting that stuff as a public notice. On to the next thing I have is, back in 2018, I moved here to Wheatland from Colorado. We rented the vet clinic down here. We were gonna put our tow lot in down there. Don't know what happened. We built a $10,000 fence because the planner says, yep, you'll need to build a fence, but that'll help toward your special use permit. We were told that if we needed to put over $40,000 in oil skimming in to be able to have a tow lot down there. We moved to the county, bought property in the county. Every time that I have had to apply for a special use permit in this town of Wheatland, I've had to pay a fee. If you look at the application for 16th Street, that also includes 4 other addresses for 7th Street. There was 1 permit fee for 5 addresses. That is not fair to myself or anybody else in the past that has had to pay multiple application fees for a special use permit. When we asked Mr. Dumont about that, he says that was an administrative decision. And I said, is that in writing or not? And he says it's not in writing. So my question to the council is, were you guys aware of this? And do you think that it's appropriate that other citizens of Wheatland have been charged multiple application fees for special use permits when one individual was allowed to have 5 addresses on permit on 1 fee? That's my question. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's fair to people. And I prior paid, as of recently, I paid 2 permits because I was rejected for 1 permit at 40 South Wheatland Highway and made to reapply once the property to the north of us was allowed to do the same thing that I was just rejected for at planning and zoning. So I paid another fee of $250 to come back in front of the planning and zoning board just to get accepted. He states that he doesn't want to take money from the town, and I respect that. But what has been done in the past, what's good for one is good for another. Unless the city council has voted to amend what has happened in the past, I think everybody should be charged the same fee across the board.
I was not aware of that.
Now, I was just made aware that it was a decision that he made, and I think his terminology for it was he doesn't think it's fair to extort or overcharge the citizens of Wheatland. It has been done in the past, so what has changed? And I think that the only people that could overturn that decision of the charging would be the city council.
Would you like to speak to that, Doug?
Absolutely. Here, ready for me to.
Yeah.
Which issue would you like me to address first?
Either one. Speak on both topics if you would,
Okay.
please.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome. So this is the Wheatland Municipal Code 18.95.070D. It's what we go by for the code for fees for all applications. It states fees, all application and associated fees are those fees set forth in the Wheatland Planning and Zoning Fee Schedule. So you have to adhere to the planning and zoning fee schedule. The next page is the current 2023 planning and zoning fee schedule. If you go all the way to the back, you'll see special use permit is $200 plus certified mail and postage, publication fees $150. It is my job as the administrator of the planning office to interpret this fee schedule. How I interpret it is the fees are there for the meeting. The biggest cost to get everything done is getting the planning and zoning commission or getting the board of adjustments all up there, getting the publication out, getting the public notice, getting the certified mail, getting it all put together. It doesn't take me any more time to do more requests than one at a meeting. So you want to do a special use and you have 7 different things, let's get it all done. That's my interpretation of it. I don't feel we should be, I want to be pro-business, I want to be for the public, I want them to come here and talk to me and not feel like they're getting strangled to come up here and just ask for something. I want them to be able to do it and have a good feeling about it. So I can't speak to what happened in the past. I wasn't the planner then, but this is how I interpret the fee schedule. If the town council does not like that, then here's what would have happened, because 1003 16th Street had 7 uses they wanted, and there was 3 addresses on 7th Street, so 4 total. 3 addresses on 7th Street just wanted to use those lots as long-term storage. The 3 addresses, 2 of them are together. It's actually one plot, but it is separate pieces of property, so they could get sold separately down the line. The 3rd one is just one over. So my thing was, let's get this all done at once. But had I charged, that's a total going to be 10 special use permits, the fees would have been close to $5,000. I don't think that's how we should be doing the fee schedule here. But that's me. If the town council wants to give me direction to do it a different way, I'll be happy to do it how you guys see fit. But I have been following code, and my interpretation of the fee schedule is what my interpretation is. You guys get it every year at the fiscal year, and you approve it.
Can I? Real quick, I think there's a misunderstanding. There was 7 uses on the 16th address. I was never charged for each line item. I was only charged for each address. So I could have 10 different requests for 40 South Wheatland Highway. But if I applied for 54, let's just say 206 12th Street to do something, right? Then I would have to fill out another application with that address and pay another fee for another special use permit at a different address. I never said his 7 line items, it was just per address. So I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, well, if I can quote you, Jeremy, you said what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
Correct.
So if what's right is right, we're gonna charge for every special use permit. That's including how many uses you're asking for.
But it's per address. That's
It's per application is what it says.
correct. And if you look at the first application he filled out, it was for 16th Street, and then it says to be determined 7th, to be determined 7th, to be determined 7th.
That was filled out by the applicant because they hadn't had their addresses issued yet.
And I'm not here for an argument. What I'm saying is if you review all past special use permits within the town of Wheatland, there has never been, until your time, somebody that's been able to put multiple addresses on one special use permit and only pay one fee. If that is the case, then we need to go back and review how many times that was done in the past and consider how many funds we've taken from citizens of Platte County and the town. I'm sorry, the town of Wheatland. This isn't the county, but that needs to be addressed.
I would say government changes over time. There's a different town council up here than there was 5 years ago. There's a different planner than there was 5 years ago. We've changed the code multiple times. We're doing ordinances tonight to change the code. Government evolves. Should we go back to 1976 when we first adopted planning and zoning and go with all the rules we had then? Just so it's fair? I don't think so. We progress, we move forward. I'm trying to do what's right for the public.
And one other quick thing, Councilman, we turned in public request informations for all this special use permit stuff. That is public information. We got the smallest little bit of it. My wife had to go into law books and this, that, and call the planner and quote city code and planning and zoning to him for him to give it to us. And then when I spoke to him, he said, I was told by the city attorney to only give you this. And I said, okay, send me an email that says the city attorney only wanted to give me this.
Whoa.
And, no, let me finish. And when he said that, his next email response to me was, I misunderstood what the city attorney said. Here you go. So when the public is requesting public information, they should be given that public information.
I will respond to part of that. Mr. Dumont called me, I think Candy was on the phone call. He was part way done with the application and the process. And I think I said, giving the basic information now because we don't have it all put together. He got that done, and then when he got it done again, he finished it and got it out very quickly. Just because you ask for something on day one, you don't get it 2 hours later. I mean, these people have their jobs to do, and I think we got it fairly quickly to Mr.
That was
Lane.
3 days before the planning meeting, sir.
Did I interrupt you after you asked me
No,
not
sir,
to?
but that's all I'm saying.
And ultimately, I think the statute allows you a lot more time. They got it 3 days before the,
Statute allows 30 days.
30 days. And we got it there as quickly as time would allow.
It
Mr.
made it a
Dumont
top priority.
and Mr. Dumont doing his other work and everything. So in my opinion, they got it there very quickly and got him the information he needed. On Mr. Dumont's other point about the funds, it is an administrative job. He looked at the fee schedule and determined that at that point in time, the fairest fee schedule was whatever he charged at that point. Administratively, I think he has that ability to do that. We can rehash everything from 20 years ago. I'm sure Rick, when he first started, I don't know if it's true, when he first started, liquor licenses were $1,500 each year. And then they changed later on where you didn't, if you had a second dispensing room, they used to make you pay $750. They've changed that and you don't have to pay anything anymore for the second dispensing room because everything's a dispensing. So things evolve. And so I think in defense of Mr. Dumont, he made a call and I think he has that right to make that call. And you can't just go back and look at everything over and over and over. And so I'm in support of the decision he made. You guys can change that, but I think he did it with the understanding that, like he said, he's proactive. He didn't want to run up. I don't know what it'd be if it was just 3 different addresses, but it'd be more than what he charged this time. And I think he's being consistent ever since he started his job with that.
I've done this for other applications, not so much to this extent where there were so many on one, but I've done it for other ones. People come in with a variance, they want, because they're next to a canal, they want to move their front setback and their side setback and get that all done. I'm not gonna do multiple variances for it. We're not gonna, that's just not needed. We can get this all done in one meeting. I can handle 10 requests on one packet. I'm pretty efficient at what I'm doing. And to elaborate off what Attorney Weaver said, when I first got the public records request, I never got one for an open application. So with my law enforcement background, I was just like, when there's an investigation, you don't release that stuff until the investigation is closed. You release the opening statement and the facts, but you don't release the investigation. So that's why I went to Candy and Attorney Weaver. What's the protocol here with an open application? Attorney Weaver had said, well, release what the application, what they had already turned in, and then when everything else is done, release that. He meant when I'm done, release it. I took it as when the meeting is done, it can be released. It's just, but I've learned it now, I know it now, so next time this happens, not gonna be an issue.
You guys have any questions for Mr. Lane or Planner Dumont on the topic of special use permit application fees?
So, excuse me, it's like, one of your biggest complaints, I guess, is that there's multiple addresses that are being kind of grouped together.
Yeah.
Being charged one price.
He said 4 addresses. And I think if we go back, and the only right thing, in my opinion, to do is go back and review past special use permits. There's never been somebody to be able to put 4 addresses on one special use permit. And then the other thing that scares me on that, if you have 7 line items on one application, who's to say that they can't get misconstrued and he can use one of those 7 items down there that weren't approved? But it's not $5,000, it's $250 and then $150. It's like $400, right? So it would have been $1,600, right? For one address that I was kicked back, it was either $600 or $800. I don't have the exact number. But I had to reapply to get the same thing that the board, the planning and zoning allowed another person a month later to do it at the address to the north of me, but they wouldn't allow us to do it at our address. So when I reapplied, I paid another fee, and he was the planner, and then it got approved. So there's got to be equality here, right? I mean, and there's been there's been a little bit of questionable stuff that has went on with the whole application on 16th Street. I won't get into that. But from the beginning, it's just been awkward. There's no, I mean, the old planners here, we're not gonna get her involved, but if there's been anybody in the past history of the town of Wheatland that has been able to put 4 addresses on one application and only pay 1 fee to the town, then I'm open to the conversation, and I'll walk out of here and I'll keep my mouth shut for the rest of my life. But there hasn't been. There hasn't been. An administrative decision, I think when it comes to money for the town, that the council needs to be the people to vote on that and make that decision.
My view is government's not here to make money. Government's here to service the public. Why are we trying to get every nickel and penny out of them for something they're required to go through? And they might not even get it.
Well, it's my opinion that if, I think this is something that we'll have to discuss,
Yeah, and I would,
because there's a lot to discuss here.
yeah, and I don't want to hold your time up.
No, but what do you guys think? Because I have some questions, but I feel more comfortable just talking to you guys about it, in a executive session.
I'm fine with that. I do appreciate information from both sides. It helps us do our due
Absolutely.
diligence.
Yeah, and I just, back on the newspaper article, not to, that needs to be addressed. I think it needs to be a legal notice, cut dry and to the point. He can say his interpretation of that word is one, but the definition of that in the dictionary is that.
Did you want to speak to that
Sure,
too?
of course.
I guess we kind of got hung up on the
No, you're
the
fine.
fees.
I figured that was the more important of the two. As you guys were aware, when I took this position a little over a year ago,
Thank you.
you're welcome. There was my first public notice I put at the top of it, hear ye, hear ye. And I believe it was Councilman Burtz who thought that was a great thing. It's a play off the old town crier, hear ye, I was just trying to get eyeballs on it. I got a lot of feedback about that. They said they loved the new opening. I started putting in more old time words as like erstwhile and come hither. Things that weren't just there, here and there. That evolved into, can you put just one word, old time word that nobody really knows, make it work, and have it as an Easter egg in your public notice. So I started doing that, and all I got was positive feedback from the public for it. I even have some people who just look at the public notice to try and find that Easter egg. Little hint, I put it towards the end so they read the whole thing. Because I want them to read it, and if it's something they're concerned about or want to address, they can come. They can come make their remarks, get them involved in government. The biggest complaint I get from the public, and this was law enforcement, and it came to here, is transparency. They don't feel like we're one of them, and they don't want to get involved. But when you do things like this and interact with the public, it lets them know we're all in the same playing field. When we have a little fun with it, they love it. I mean, my agendas, I have Merlin's agendas up there, inside joke, but people ask about it, it's great. Board of Adjustment member, Clinton Butler's here. We did a mid-year review with it at Hollywood Actors with pictures of the Board of Adjustment members saying, hey, is this them in disguise? But it was just a fun thing. Public stayed and loved every second of it. So that's kind of my view on it. Again, town council wants me to stop putting in old time words with my public notices, I'll stop. But that's just what I've done. As far as the word in question here, collagrate, it's an old Latin word, and Mr. Lang's not wrong. It means the coal is to come together, and lacrimate is to shed tears. Come together and shed tears. The way I worded it in my public notice is, if you have any questions or comments, no need to collagrate. Meaning, don't cry. You have options. Come talk to me, and we'll get your questions and concerns out there. Mr. Lang's offended by that. I'm sorry. There's a lot of words that offend people. I didn't do it in an offensive manner.
Any thoughts from the council?
I like what you said, that if it draws attention, raises more questions, making the effort to do more due diligence, I'm all for it. I think they're two separate situations here with whatever we drill down in on the fees of the address, completely separate to something like this. But I remember when you did it here, you caught my attention when you did it and flagged me. Probably to pay more attention, maybe I would have. So I don't have a problem with that. If it's not I don't want to be on planning and zoning board, but talk about a very tough, I would say boring, but a tough position to be in if you want to throw a little bit of help break the ice and get people to engage. I mean, it's hard to find people to sit on planning and zoning, but if you can do something to help people engage more and communicate, ask questions, and again, yeah.
It's a difficult material to make entertaining.
Yeah, it's not light reading or easy reading, so if you got something to flag you to keep you awake.
And that's what I try to do.
Any other thoughts?
Only other thought, if you're gonna do something like this, I think maybe just think twice about the words you choose.
I agree. There's a lot of them, because it's hard to find old time words, so
Right.
especially ones people I haven't heard of. So I comb through a lot of them, and some of them was like, I can't make this word. This isn't gonna. I mean, but the one that don't shed tears. Say, if you have any questions or comments, don't cry about it. Come talk to me. We'll get it out there. Your voice will be heard. So you're absolutely right, and I do my due diligence to make sure it's not going to be offensive.
I'd like to thank you both for bringing it to our attention and talking about it. Sounds like we got some discussion to do on one of the topics. Other than that, if there's nothing else, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment at this time?
Oh, I have one other thing that I forgot to mention. I talked to the realtor again the other day on the Wendy's, and she said the deal is still going through.
Oh, yeah?
So, I know I keep hearing it's not, but they keep saying this.
Are you still planning for Christmas?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But no, but she said that it's still going through.
Well, didn't you say at the one county commissioner meeting it was gonna be January or 1st of February?
That's what they were thinking, but I don't even know about that now. So I forgot to mention that.
Still in the drive-through line waiting to make your order, right?
I want to dip those french fries in that shake.
The frosting.
The commercial says so, right? All right, if there's no other public comment at this time, we will move on to unfinished business, item number 1, which is ordinance 844, privately owned RV water supply and dump station on second reading. And I believe you have that ordinance in front of you as well.
I'd like to make a motion approving ordinance number 844
Second.
On the second reading.
on the second reading. Thank you.
With the second by Councilman Kaufman. Is there any further discussion on ordinance 844 second reading? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion will carry. Unfinished business. Item number 2 is Rick Bowen with the bar and grill liquor license.
Mayor Graves, Councilman, Andy, Doug, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you once again. I will be brief as I'm about 4.5 hours from having to go to work, so I will be brief. I have done the research under the new legislation for a bar and grill license, and I believe I qualify. I couldn't see where I didn't qualify. However, it goes on to say that the license will be issued by the local licensing authority, and that would be you. So, I know that there was some concern about my limited menu, which it is, and I expect it to expand, but not a whole lot. I'll probably go to, I have hot dogs, brats, pizza. I'll probably go to chili this winter, pulled pork sandwiches, sloppy joes, that sort of thing. I'm not wanting to compete with the other food establishments here in Wheatland. There are 10 of them, I think I counted, and possibly a new one coming in. Most of the owners of those establishments I know. And I know that there are some who are having a hard time keeping their doors open. I don't want to compete against them. I want to see them survive. They've been here, they've been working with their business for a long time. I want the license so that I have a place for my non-smoker, non-vaping people to go, so they can enjoy the football game, the new big screen, their jukebox, pool table, skill games, Keno now, where they can go and enjoy that without having to breathe someone else's smoke. So with that in mind, that is why I have applied for this license. We all have to make a living here. I have no intentions of trying to compete in the restaurant food business with these others. I want to keep their customers. I will keep mine for the no smoking area, and hopefully that we can all survive. So with that, I ask that you grant me the license. If you do, that would be wonderful. I would appreciate it.
Well, personally, I don't think, I think competition is good. And I, for one, would like to have another place to be able to go and eat, we are kind of limited here. And so
Tony, with 10 10 places to go and eat, you think we're limited?
Yeah, I do, because you know what? I don't like all 10 of them.
I'll be sure to tell them that.
You know, well, you know what I'm saying? I mean, seriously,
You know, they do the best they can.
they do,
And,
absolutely.
if if you don't like it, I go to all of them. I've been to all of them. And, some are good, some are better than others, and some are worse. But,
I guess what I'm saying, Rick, and I don't mean to interrupt you, is I wouldn't be afraid of putting more on your menu, you know?
well, and I probably will, Tony, but I'm not going to compete against them. I'm not going to go to a full out menu and compete against them. I was in the restaurant business for 3 years in a big restaurant, seated over 100 people. We had a full menu, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is a tough business. It's tough to make a living at. The first 2 years I was in business, I lost money, quite a bit. The third year, I made a little money. Not as much to make up for the previous 2 years, but it's a tough business, the restaurant business. One thing about Wheatland is we just don't have enough people to entice someone like Chili's or one of those to come in. We don't have enough people here, nor do I believe we have enough personnel to staff something like that. I don't think we will ever get something like that. I think we have to do the best with what we've got. And I'm satisfied. So I'd like to see them all survive. They've been here a long time.
I think where I was coming from, and I know that.
Pardon me, Alan?
I say where I was coming from. I know Candy's was real busy. I would just like, now that the state is actually handing down, which I think is a great thing for the local governing authority to have more say in it, whether that's good, bad, or otherwise. I just would like that future. I mean, like I said, I think it's great what you want to do, but I would like us to have an ordinance or something on the books for the next guy, 10 years down the road or 1 year down the road, whether it's another bar and grill, a restaurant, a club, at least the local governing authority, licensing authority, we can say, okay, you want to do that? Here's your outline. Not real big. And you pull from they gave it on the statute, it's defined as restaurant. You peel off a part of that and just, look at that. I would just like for us to have something to give to the next person.
Well,
so that we can just, it's not even 3 years, 2 years from now, a whole different council could say there's another bar and grill license. How do we do that? Well, here's what it is. If you fall within this little footprint or big footprint or whatever, that's your criteria you make. But I think we'd be missing the boat opportunity from the state by not getting our hands, having too many times the state comes and tells us what to do. If they're actually handing this down saying, we're going to leave it up to the local governing authority, I think behooves us to have a little something, a little bit of guideline to base it off of without, the majority of the time, the state or the feds telling us what to do, when we'd like to say, hey, it doesn't work in our community or something like that. So it's not that I'm against it. I would just like us to have a little roadmap there.
I think, Alan, in 2028, I believe, isn't it opening up to all? Aren't they opening up the bar and grill license?
I think we get 2 more or something.
What's that?
I think we get 2 more.
Well, I thought in 2028.
It was just unlimited?
Yes, I believe that's what. Oh, I didn't bring it with me.
I don't know that.
I didn't bring it with me, but I believe that is what it said, Candy. And
Yeah, I don't know that.
I think that's what it said.
Well, see, like right now, in my opinion, is, I agree with Alan. I think we do need something written down to set some guidelines. But as of right now, we don't have that. So you qualify as far as I'm concerned, Rick.
May I?
Absolutely.
And catch me if I'm out of turn here, Attorney Weaver. They just approved this gaming commission in the legislature, 4 years ago, to put these skill games in. So I guess in my travels this last other day, I had the thought of, if the gaming commission ups, that each place can have 2 or 4 machines added to their establishment. And this is where Doug can either slap me down or tell me to shut up. Would you be receptive to turning that bar and grill license back to the town of Wheatland?
If they would give me, like you say, 2 or 4 more games under my current
And
license.
I'm not
Yes,
trying to hold you hostage.
right,
That's why I'm asking,
yeah, I would turn it back.
at the same cost that,
Sure, I would do that. You know,
I know I have researched, other guys have researched other communities and the statute,
Yeah.
and it says pizza, hot dogs.
if the,
Basic.
gaming commission or the liquor commission said, okay, Rick, you can put 2 more games in, 4 more games. You don't need another license. I turn mine back.
Thank you.
And I'm not
And you
trying
can
to
put that in writing.
Is that wrong? I'm sorry.
Like, here's what could happen, and I'm not trying to muddy it. Is if, let's say all of a sudden they said, every liquor license can have 4, so all of a sudden Mr. Bowen has 8. But if he only has 1 liquor license, he only has 4. He's gonna come and say, geez, I'd still like, cause I would, I'm not saying anything that, I'd really like to have 8 machines, and I can't have 8 unless I have 2 liquor licenses. So you're really going down a slippery slope in that regard, from my perspective, is that, I'll be quite frank, I think the legislature did this back assward. I
Yes.
think they should have, the gaming division has put the liquor commission and the towns in an odd situation. They should have said, you can have 4 machines or you can only have 2. We're not gonna play.
Well, you know,
Let me
excuse me,
finish.
I'm sorry.
We're not gonna play that. But the hands were dealt is that you can have 2 more games if you get another liquor license. The council just now has to decide, do we wanna grant it? You don't have to grant it. You don't have to have any reason not to grant it, and you can grant it either way. And, that's just an option that you guys have to decide and, go from there.
And, you know, when I applied for my additional games, had I applied a month earlier, I would have gotten those for a separate address. But I kind of got middled. If you know.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just telling you what could happen
Right.
later on.
Because they would have grandfathered those in. But with the new legislation, I didn't get grandfathered in. I called Nick up there and I said, Nick, where's my licenses? He told me, he says, well, Rick, you kind of got caught in the middle here. He said, before we would have grandfathered those in. But now, with the new legislation, you're gonna have another license.
So maybe Rick, you could educate me. So how does, which I think it would be great here to pull people off the interstate, economic boom. So what stops you from being like Wyoming Downs, 307?
Different licenses.
And that, and you mean Douglas has the Derby Club, Rawlins, Sheridan.
Here's,
So I mean, I would think that'd be, I mean, I have nothing against the games, like I said. I think that would keep people off the interstate. We had your own little.
you have to have a racetrack, Alan. And you have to have 1 live horse race a year. And that's how well, years and years ago, Doug probably knows more about this than I do. They gave that option to each county. Do you want this or don't you? Some counties took it, some didn't. Platte did. And there's some counties in Wyoming that didn't. But in order to have, like, Wyoming Downs, 307 Downs, the horse racing thing, you have to have a horse track, a racetrack, and you have to have one live horse race per year. And it's a different license.
But anyway, yeah, I just would like I said, for future reference. I mean, I'll tell you another thing. We don't really want that 307, all those are controlled straight out of Las Vegas. And when they closed that, so I was just curious.
When they got the one closed down up in Gillette, it was only closed down for a week. And my son-in-law said, "You wouldn't believe there's yet something in there." And the limos were at the courthouse, and they opened it back up. And they have a lot of clout.
And then back to the other side, what Tony was saying, I think, and you may not agree, I think people are looking for other choices. And they see Skipper's Lounge, Skipper's Grill, as another opportunity to go get a burger. They're not going to complain to you, why aren't you serving? They're going to come to the town and say, why are you just throwing out grill licenses? And what's a grill? What's the definition of grill? And we say, we don't have a definition of grill. What I'm just saying. And then, so that's where I would just like, again, for future restaurants, clubs, bars, grills, whatever, all the other category, I would like us at the same time, and I think this can be done within the next 30 days, the next meeting, we have an ordinance, and then also we pinpoint in dispensary rooms too. The last one, fortunately, Jody agreed to do exactly what Safeway did. Who knows what the next person down the road, if they have a liquor license and they don't want to have to follow what Thrifty Foods is doing in Safeway. I think it behooves us again to have something that we can lean on and just say, hey, here's our guidelines.
Yeah.
It's a simple guideline. We're not making it impossible. And that's just where I'm coming from. And I agree with Tony. I got a family in the food business too. I think competition's good. Makes you all the better, work harder at it, and choices for people and everything else. I mean, you say you don't want to compete with everybody, but
no.
And I'm
a
customer.
I want to keep the ones that have put their lives in here. I want to keep them in business.
I'm not picking on that statement, but because I'm a big customer. But on Thursday, you put a dent in a lot of the businesses around town with the food truck that comes from Larry. So, and that's a good choice. But see, it's a choice for everybody. So like I said, if you get a grill, I'd like to have a guideline for you that you can say, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what a grill license is in the town of Wheatland, and I'll do chili and rattle off some things and I'm not maybe getting it too simple, but not gaming machines and a hot dog and that kind of thing. It's just, I'm just looking at more for the public, making sure we're doing right by the public of what we're issuing out, that kind of stuff. So, but I'm done. That's just where I'm at. So.
I probably add a 9 out of 10 just for you, so you know.
Pardon me?
I probably eat it 9 out of 10, just so you know.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you do.
But you know what, Rick, I agree with Alan. We need to make some guidelines for future references, but the way I see it, I think you qualify.
Thank you.
From the way the law sits right now, the way it's stated. So I'm gonna make the motion that we grant.
You can't. It's on the table.
We tabled it.
We tabled it.
Oh, we did.
And I don't know who tabled it, but they have to bring it off the table.
Okay. Josh did.
Of course it was.
So I have to make a motion to take it off the table, is that what we're doing here?
If you decide to, so yes.
If you decide.
Make a motion to take this issue off the table.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to untable the bar and grill liquor license for Mr. Rick Bullitt. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I said aye, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Not opposed, forward to take it off.
Now, I can make my
You
motion
can now make your motion.
to grant Rick Bowen bar and grill liquor license.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. So, it will be a no vote because we didn't set boundaries.
Because why?
Because we didn't set a guideline. And I'm gonna vote no, but I do think what Tony's saying, you probably qualify, but the next person comes in a week or in 30 days, I can't set, in my mind, then all of a sudden put guidelines for them. So I'm gonna say no, is where my vote is, because we don't have guidelines. And that's where I'm coming from. But I think you qualify, but I
We need
think.
them. We need perfect sense.
So that's just where I'm coming from. So if we want to, if there's further discussion or I'm going to take a vote. Now, question to you then, if we say no, can he come back based on in 30 days with guidelines to go with?
Yeah. Yes. If you deny the license, then it's done and Mr. Bowen can come back and reapply.
Based on an ordinance or guidelines that we set for what a bar and grill is within 30 days here or something. Okay, I just wanted to make sure
So he would need to reapply, and I
Yes.
would resubmit it to the state, and we'd advertise for 2 weeks for the next meeting.
Just like this one, yes.
Is there a motion on to grant it? Oh, is there?
Okay.
He was just asking a
Oh,
question.
I was just
It was
asking
in
the
discussion.
question, the what is.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. So, right now, we don't have anything written down for guidelines. And that's not Mr. Bowen's fault. So I think it would be kind of unfair that he qualifies now, and then we set guidelines that he's not gonna qualify for, or a possibility of not qualifying for. At this moment, at this time, he qualifies. And that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time and your input.
Thanks for answering some questions for us too, and helping it.
Thanks, Rick.
Good night, gentlemen. I gotta go to work.
Moving on to new business, ordinance number 845, 1251 Cole Street, Conservancy District to General Business, first reading. Is there anybody here to speak to that?
So Amy Clark is representing 1251 Cole Street. If you'd like a little history on the place, it's Conservancy District is golf courses are allowed. When the restaurant portion was part of the golf course, that it went along with the golf course. At some point in time, it separated, it became its own entity. Due to grandfathering or non-conforming uses, it was allowed to stay as a restaurant for all those years. Non-conforming uses lose their ability after a year of being vacant. And in July, it had been vacant for a year, so it is no longer as a non-conforming use to be used as a restaurant. They applied for a variance that the Board of Adjustment granted, so they're allowed to be a general business until the beginning of the year with the stipulation that they apply for a full rezone. and the planning and zoning heard that rezone on our last meeting, October 5th, and they did pass it. And we're here for our first reading with you guys.
And everybody's aware of it was Hilltop Bar and Grill, and then previously before that, it was the Country Club. We are still working towards putting another restaurant in there. We're currently have meetings set up with Candy, with Rick, because there are a few things that were never done previously. We actually still share a water meter with the golf course. We also still share a gas meter with the golf course. So those are some of the items that we are working with to get everything separate for them, especially because the golf course will eventually be paying their own water bill. So that is something that we have to get separated out. We've been working with a structural engineer on the building, make sure that it is safe. There were some questionable things done in the 70s to a portion of it. So we want to make sure that that is done before we move forward with construction on it. We will be meeting with Candy to make sure that we are meeting the town requirements in addition to the state requirements for that bar and grill license. So, and we'll work with the information that she gives us and with the owner to make sure that the business model moving forward meets everybody's wants and wishes and requirements.
Would entertain a motion then for,
Yeah, make a motion to pass the first reading of ordinance 845 to rezone 1251 Cole Street.
second? Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review of preliminary plat for 2952 West Mariposa. Well, you're popular tonight, Doug.
I know. Every once in a while. Yeah, so this was actually reviewed at our September 7th, 2023 Planning and Zoning meeting. The Planning and Zoning did pass this subdivision. It's the Carolyn Light land that is just west of the middle school. It's not the big subdivision. They still have engineers working on that. It's just she wanted to break off a little piece for a homestead. That she wanted to do that first. She didn't really give an explanation why she wanted to do that or what she's planning to put there, but she had Shane Hansen with Style Surveying was doing a representation, and he didn't really know either. But she did want that little part taken out and for a homestead of some sort, and it's about 25,000 acres, or 25,000 square feet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, big.
It's a different.
On the Rosa.
Yeah.
This one's a little bigger.
Yeah, and you should have, so we're not approving it tonight, according to Wheatland Municipal Code 17.05.050. The town council needs to look at the preliminary map and make any corrections or amendments to it that they want before a final plat comes for you guys to approval. This has already been reviewed by the town engineer, and by all the departments, and this is what will be the final version, unless you guys want to add something to it.
Doug, I'm just asking.
Sure.
So we don't get it, she's not gonna do this piecemeal, she's not gonna come in for one more lot that in.
I can't say she won't. Her plan right now is to subdivide the rest into that neighborhood subdivision. So what's been called now the Foothills Estate subdivision.
And I assume this is already zoned residential.
It's zoned conservancy. So what she wants to do there, it doesn't need to be rezoned because you're allowed to have one house on a conservancy district. Now the big one, that's gonna have to be rezoned.
I don't know if I would, and I'm a little late on this, but I think I would make it clear to her that for this to be the final plat, that the requirement for the next part is that she has to fully subdivide the remaining land. So you don't piecemeal this down that.
Right.
As you piecemeal it, pretty soon we forget about the roadway, we forget about the streets and curbs and gutters and the electrical system that needs to go down. Doug won't, but I mean, it's just,
Well, I think that were to happen, it would be brought up to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and
but
I don't think that would fly, but you're right, anything.
things happen, and I'm just telling you that, you know, because our first plan was to do this whole thing all at once.
Correct.
Yeah,
If you need it.
and
I'm kind of like with what Doug's saying. I think the next one needs to be the final so that you can review it and make sure where the streets are and we're maintaining these streets. And then there's over there, Furtick Edition off West Walnut. There was when they.
And I tried to get more information why she did it this way.
A street that just stops, right? And they didn't continue growing and everything else. So yeah.
My biggest question was why don't you just add it to the full subdivision? When you subdivide it all, just make this part of the homestead, and there you go. My response is she wants to do it now. But I never really spoke with her. I was all through style surveying services.
it's like she wants to subdivide piecemeal. What do you think about it?
So what do we do about it? We just make sure this is the last piece she subdivides before she.
What you could do is that before you, because it goes back to planning and zoning, she has to do a final plat, correct?
The final plat will go to town
Right,
council.
and you could just say, one of the conditions is, if you come back the next time, it has to be a complete subdivision for the remaining land.
What I can say to the style surveying is that the town council's reviewed it, and they want on the, I guess it would be the information on the plat map that this is in coherence with the next piece of subdivision for this land will be the full subdivision.
Yeah, full plat.
Yeah, that'll be
With that
on the,
stipulation.
that'll hold it to the plat map that she can't subdivide anymore unless she's gonna do the full subdivision.
That way we don't end up with something weird. I get where you're going, that
Yeah,
makes
the
sense.
piecemeal.
Yeah, the whole engineering part for this, because we've been dealing with it now for over a year, supposedly they're waiting for prices to come down to start it, but she could change her mind and not want to do it and leave the land full or whatever she wants to do, but yeah, the stipulation can be, we'll grant this subdivision with the idea that there will be a neighborhood subdivision coming next.
Yeah, you can't sell it off. I mean,
You're calling this lot a subdivision?
Yes.
And
So
the
it's the big plot of land, she's just taking one section of it off. That lot would actually be 2952 West Mariposa. Then the rest of the land would be,
Conservancy.
it would still be conservancy. When it gets subdivided, it would have to change.
So in my world, what is this? This is lot one, block one of.
Of the White Homestead subdivision.
and then the
Town
next
Hall.
one would be White Homes subdivision
No need to
number 2.
It would need to be.
It'd be,
Well,
I think it's gonna be Foothills Estates subdivision.
See, that's,
I know.
we're just going down a road.
No.
We need, I'll be honest, we have to have more information about what her plans are, because we're going down a road that doesn't look very good.
I've sent out the latest releases to all. You should have a copy of them.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago. But again, there's no saying she doesn't change her mind, doesn't want to do it.
I would just say, because it really should be one lot and the rest is lot 2, and then she'd have to come back in.
And you call it block one, and that gives the impression there's more. And it says the final plat for White Homestead should be lot one of the.
He says he was working with, I'm trying to think of the engineering group that's doing the neighborhood subdivision, but he worked with them to make sure it lines up, because that was a concern with planning and zoning, that is this gonna line up with the neighborhood subdivision?
No,
Style
I'm
surveying.
talking
Oh.
assessors, treasurers, county clerks recording of this. Lot one, block one. tells me there's more to the White Homestead. There's additional blocks or additional lots within block 1.
The cleaner way would be lot 1 of the
White Homestead
subdivision.
Don't have block 1 in there.
Right.
And I can make them, that's why we're here.
They
I can make them
can't
get rid
do
of
any-
block
They
1.
can't do any more lots
Yep.
unless they subdivide.
Especially if you mentioned she's gonna call the other place something different, then it doesn't make sense. Lot
Yeah.
1, block 1.
Okay.
So that's where your expertise comes in handy.
I don't know about that.
So you would want lot 1 of the White Homestead subdivision?
Yes.
And she can't sell any more.
And as a real estate disclosure on there, can't sell anymore.
Without fully subdividing the rest of the property.
So if she chooses not to do that, then the subdivision goes away? What if, because, I mean, once the final plat gets here, she has a year to record it. What if she sits on it, I guess after a year, this subdivision becomes
She
invalid?
doesn't do anything, but.
It's null and void.
Right.
What I don't want her doing is all of a sudden saying, geez, I wanna come back and make lot 2 of this. I wanna do this on a constant basis.
Right.
And we never get anything, the infrastructure done correctly.
Yeah.
My concern is we get the final plat map, she gets it recorded at the county clerk's office, she's got her lot off there, and then decides not to do the subdivision. It's already been recorded.
But yeah.
I don't think we can take that genie back.
No, I'm not saying to take it back, I'm saying
Schindler's is over.
that,
The balance of it, Schindler's.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to
Way
think
around the
through this.
oil road and Mariposa Street.
so she can't build them.
The other side of it is that she couldn't do anything anyway. The next time she'd have to come, if she sold anything but the entire amount, she'd have to come back.
Yeah. And where's our pump station?
Let's see, she sold the rest of that
It's
land that she owns out there.
She can sell it just as one large parcel if she.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Then
doesn't
they
allow
can
that.
subdivide it.
Okay.
Then,
Yeah, cause I think what Doug's saying is,
Who is this?
lot 1 of the White Homestead, or the plat of the White Homestead, town of Wheatland, Pike County, Wyoming. But then the next place, yeah, what would you call it, Foothills?
Foothills Estate. Yep.
Foothills Estates, lot 1 through maybe 12. You can't do lots 1, 2, and 3, and then tell the town, hey, I'm selling lot 4, extend the water line. I mean, it needs to be.
Yeah.
this water line just comes from the street, doesn't it, Doug?
Correct.
And the sewer line goes to the street also.
Believe so.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think the next subdivision would be a full
But
blown
you're right,
completed infrastructure.
The lot 1, block 1 might be the first part of the full subdivision. It's trying to line up with the other ones.
We're trying to.
You know, the other thing
we're
she
trying
could
to
do-
outdance her.
Right.
It doesn't make sense if this is the final plat.
Yeah, that does.
I agree, this is all backward, but
What she could do is like we do with Black Mountain filing number 2, or she could make, do you see what?
I'd get rid of final plat and just call it the White Homestead subdivision lot 1. The final gets a little, you might pick the next spring too, what's gonna be easiest, and Malcolm over there recording it. 'Cause you gotta have your own little page and where to find this and stuff too.
Sure.
That'll work.
He says sure and grins, and underneath his breath, he's saying something else, I think.
Who, me? Oh, him.
so we want that verbiage change and assurance that the full subdivision will go through. But
Unless it sells as one whole parcel. If she keeps going with the subdivision, I think she has to complete the subdivision.
Yeah, she can't piecemeal it off, and she can't say, I wanna sell another lot, I wanna add that, we gotta stop it.
so the next subdivision will be fully subdividing the
Right.
whole parcel.
Yes.
With infrastructure, yeah.
All right, I'll get that done. Any other questions?
I'd get out of here if I was you.
Your advice.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, you're welcome, thank you.
Thanks,
See
Tracy.
you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We're boring them to the point of.
Well, Mike's hanging in there.
Yeah, what are you doing, Mike?
He just asked to go across the street. Oh, Mike. Mike, I would have left. I hate you.
I'm just enjoying it.
You use that coat as a
It's
pillow.
good to set in once in a while, see what's going on.
There's a lot more excitement in this one last few, so hey.
Yeah, it has been a little more exciting, hasn't it?
I was at home and in bed.
I don't like when they're exciting. I like when they're boring.
So new business item number 3, this will make Candy happy.
Yes.
To ratify the motion to approve the Point Care Terms and Conditions Agreement with Connecting Point for IT services.
Make a motion to approve the Point Care Terms and Conditions Agreement with Connecting Point.
Very eloquently well worded there.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Word for word.
It's an easy one to stumble on there. Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who
Opposed, same
seconded?
sign.
Tony?
Tony, okay.
Just a busy beaver.
And then we have a whiteout agreement for the bridge over Wheatland Creek at Cole Street. I believe you have that agreement in front of you. And are they rehabilitating it or are they just testing it,
So, I think they're
rehabbing it?
yep. And so what, Mark Williams has said to me is this funding is coming from that bipartisan infrastructure law,
The bill,
the bill funds. So it's, they're required to be used on bridges that are off the state highway system and on bridges that are in poor condition. So they came in and rated ours. So it'll be the one kind of right there by the Weaver's office, by the theater and the fire hall. And then the one over off of Cole Street by the railroad tracks. And there's no cost to the town unless you sign this agreement, they start the project, and we decide to stop. Then we have to reimburse on any
right.
fees. But otherwise, there's no,
And they pay for the bridge and everything.
they pay for everything. Unless we start them, then stop them.
So you need a motion here?
Two different motions.
Make a motion to approve the whiteout agreement of the bridge over Wheatland Creek at Cole Street.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And now we'll do it all again for the address of Canal Number 2 at 10th Street, which is in between the fire hall and Attorney Weaver's office.
I'll make a motion to approve the whiteout agreement, bridge over Canal Number 2 on 10th Street.
Second.
All right, we arm wrestling for who gets the second?
Give it to Josh.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Item number 6 is cemetery rules and regulations.
So these rules and regulations have been existence, I guess, since the original was in 1994. It was then modified in 2016, and then we recently modified it to include the columbarium, and we're a little late in modifying these, and I will take full credit for that lateness. But the increase in fees, even like planting trees and bushes and stuff, we want our town personnel doing that. We don't want people just out there digging holes in our cemetery. So, no, nothing drastic, just mainly the fees.
Make a motion to approve the cemetery rules and regulations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the cemetery rules and regulations? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Looks like we have executive session next. I'm excited.
Overtime.
You know, the water and electric department did the
Thank you, Mark and Mike.
Yes, guys. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. You're gonna need that coat Thursday morning.
Thursday morning, yep.
Oh.
Wear it to work.
So you want to make a motion?
Motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.